What's up everyone, welcome back to another What If video. So as I mentioned in the last part, I would continue the scenario if there was enough interest, and it turns out there was. It's weird because this started as a What If mini, but now there's actually going to be some new parts. I guess this short scenario evolved into a full scenario. So let's pick up where we left last time. Following the Buu saga, Goku's gotten rid of his immortality, but Vegeta still has his. For this video, let's set a like goal of 3,000 likes, and once we hit that, I'll continue with a new part. Because after writing this out, it turns out there may need to be another part separate from this. Anyways, let's pick up from here. With no real need or desire to get rid of his immortality, Vegeta decides to keep it. He's content with it for now, and maybe if he decides to get rid of it later he will. With nowhere really higher to train, Goku and Vegeta decide to contact Shin and Kibito once more, not to become Kais, but because these two are the strongest possible teachers for them. King Kai was pretty good for Goku, so they can only imagine what the guys above him would be like. Shin and Kibito are a little bit hesitant to take them as students, but they end up doing it. It could be good to have some more strong mortals that can defend themselves on Earth. So, why not? The two head to the sacred world of Kais and begin their training. They see some pretty good increases in power, and for the next few years, they train under the Kais. Everything's seemingly peaceful right now, so they're very focused on this training. But then one day, they get a visitor. Goku doesn't know who this guy is, but Shin, Kibito, and Vegeta are all scared. It's Beerus and Whis. Beerus just woke up from his nap having a dream about a Super Saiyan god. And according to Whis, it turns out the Supreme Kai had a student of his own. Actually, two of them, and they're both Saiyans. This is perfect for Beerus, they're not too far out of reach. So he asked them, what do they know about the Super Saiyan god? And it turns out, they know nothing. Remember, they don't even know Super Saiyan here. So just hearing the word Super Saiyan is a shock to them. Are they not already Super Saiyans? Beerus decides he wants to test their power, so the two end up fighting him together. Beerus says they could use whatever they want to try and defeat him. There's no way they will. Since they need to go all out here to impress him, Vegeta decides he's going to use the Z-Sword during the battle, which they've been training with. He swings the sword at Beerus, hoping that it'll do some damage. With one finger, Beerus stops it and the sword snaps in half, causing Shin, Kibito, and Vegeta to panic. But then Beerus recognizes that was the Z-Sword he just broke. Here we go again. He watches as Elder Kai pops out of the sword, still pissed at Beerus for what happened. Beerus retorts saying he deserved it, and if Elder Kai keeps running his mouth, he'll do it again. As Elder Kai and Beerus argue, everyone just watches confused. There's another Kai? Beerus is pretty angered right now. He can't believe they ended up freeing this nuisance. He should just erase Goku and Vegeta on the spot. Not only are they disappointing in terms of power, but now they've angered him. He'll give them one last chance, find out something about the Super Saiyan God, or get erased. Shin tries to think and then remembers. They can ask Zuno. Oh yeah, that's a pretty good idea. Beerus and Whis will gladly go with them, maybe to up the intimidation factor a bit. So, the entire group is teleported there by Shin, and they ask Zuno about the Super Saiyan God. They learn about the ritual, and apparently 5 Saiyans need to channel their energy into one other Saiyan. So they decide to go to Earth, grabbing Gohan, Trunks, and Goten. They misinterpreted the instructions though, and it turns out they're 1 Saiyan short. Thankfully, Videl's pregnant, and it may not work, but it's worth a shot. And they decide they're going to channel their energy into Vegeta, at the request of Beerus. He knows by now that Vegeta is immortal, and it actually would be pretty fun to have an immortal rival. Well, as long as the Super Saiyan God thing turns out to be true, otherwise everyone's getting erased. Thankfully, the ritual works, and Beerus is a little impressed by the power, but not too much impressed. Vegeta still isn't incredibly strong, although Beerus can definitely see the potential. His interest in these 2 Saiyans peak. Following this, there's no Resurrection F. Since Frieza ended up dying on Namek, they never found out who actually killed him. Originally, Frieza survived and he was able to point out where the Earthlings were, also mentioning who actually tried to kill him. But this time, that doesn't happen. King Cold is still around though, ruling parts of the universe. Knowing him, he probably doesn't care too much about Frieza anymore. Whatever, he'll find a new son somewhere else. But this isn't the last we're seeing of King Cold. You'll see some more of him later on. Probably not in a way you expect though. And naturally the next thing to do here is the Universe 6 tournament. And things are not looking good as they head into it. As for a team, it's a little bit different. Goku, Vegeta, and Piccolo are still on the team, and Beerus doesn't want to risk bringing in Monaka because they need as much power as they can. Sadly, Gohan can't join, but instead, they get Krillin and Tenshinhan to join the team. Krillin has actually continued training way more since he doesn't have Android 18 with him. Without a family to focus on, all he really has is work and training. And Tenshinhan is Tenshinhan, he's going to be training regardless. These two are the strongest humans on Earth for them to actually have on the team, and the next best option behind Piccolo. But as they recruit the team, Elder Kai notes that these humans are very weak in comparison to the Saiyans. He's kinda disappointed. Krillin and Ten are embarrassed they just got insulted by a god. But really, Elder Kai says this because he has an idea. Before Goku and Vegeta go in the Room of Spirit in time to train, he wants to head in with Ten and Krillin. They're not too sure what's going on. They're being led into an isolated room by an old man, which doesn't sound good at all on paper. But Elder Kai has a trick up his sleeve, and since they're in the Room of Spirit in time, instead of this taking a few days to accomplish, it's only going to take a few minutes. After a few days on the inside and a few minutes on the outside, the three of them exit the Room of Spirit in time. And somehow, Krillin and Ten are way stronger than before. Elder Kai says he unlocked their potential, and thankfully, both of them have continued training so much, so they're really strong since they have a lot of latent potential. Individually, I'd say they're still weaker than Goku and Vegeta, but combined, their powers together may be enough to actually match up against one of the Super Saiyan gods. Just barely though. To be fair, Goku and Vegeta aren't nearly as strong here as they were in canon, while Krillin and Ten are somewhere near the same strength, plus now with the Ultimate on top of it. And they know once Yamcha hears about this, he's gonna want it too. They'll let him in on it later. But will this be enough for the Universe 6 tournament? Let's find out. In terms of power, I feel like their team matches up pretty well against the Universe 6 team. Although, Goku and Vegeta are going to have to rely on Super Saiyan God a lot, since their base isn't nearly strong enough to compete, while Ten and Krillin will be an Ultimate the whole time. Goku's up against Batamo, and wins when he goes Super Saiyan God. But against Frost, he still gets knocked out by the poison, as does Piccolo. But Ten goes up against him and notices the poison needles. He does have superior vision after all with 3 eyes, which means Goku and Piccolo can fight again later. Next up, Ten faces Magetta, and there's no way for him to win. Apparently, according to the Moro arc, he's not good at coming up with insults, so if he can't fight a metal man there, he probably can't here. Luckily, Vegeta's up next, and he can easily do this. He faces off against Kaba next. And too bad for Kaba because he doesn't learn Super Saiyan here. There's no way Vegeta can teach him Super Saiyan God either. He ends up having to use Super Saiyan God to win the fight. And next up, he's against Hit. But clearly, Hit here is too much for Vegeta. Krillin is up next, and he's also not a match for Hit. And once again, Goku goes up. He does have a trick up his sleeve though. In the Room of Spirit and Time, he figured out he can combine Kaioken with Super Saiyan God. And although it makes for a great show of power, it's still not enough to take on Hit. So Goku is defeated as well. The final contestant is Piccolo, and once again, Hit defeats him, essentially sweeping most of the Universe 7 team. Champa is excited to have won, while Beerus is extremely pissed. This is perfect for Champa. It means he can wish Earth to be in Universe 6. And now, everyone will remain residents of that universe. To be honest, for the people on Earth, this isn't really a huge change. Of course, people would start freaking out when they noticed the solar system randomly disappeared, and got replaced by something else. But life would still go normally. The biggest difference here is that Goku and Vegeta aren't training with Beerus anymore. But they do find something that piques their interest. That Saiyan that they met before, Kaba. Why not visit planet Sadala? It would be a fun little trip, and they may be able to find some more strong Saiyans there. After Earth is settled in Universe 6, and they've prepared a way to travel, they decide to head there. Around this time, the future Trunks arc should happen, but it's not going to. With no Earth in Universe 7 for him to escape to, Trunks is defeated, and in his timeline, Zamasu and Goku Black reign supreme. It's a pretty sad ending. But while his timeline meets an untimely demise, this timeline should be okay. We will have the Tournament of Power eventually, but even though a lot of people are weaker here, it's still shaping up to be a great tournament. And hope exists for Universe 6. A lot of hope. First off, Goku and Vegeta are on Sadala. It seems pretty cool there, and Vegeta did promise to meet Kaba after all. They spend their time learning about the planet and hanging out with Kaba, training with him too. It's a pretty fun trip for them. As of now, they still haven't met Kale and Caulifla, but once they receive news from Zeno that there's going to be a tournament between the universes, they're going to end up meeting those two, because Kaba's going to try to recruit Caulifla, leading to Kale getting introduced as well. So even though Earth has been in Universe 6 for about a year at this point, this is their first time meeting those two female Saiyans. Cool, more training partners. And while it's good that they have more strong partners, right now they're still forming a team. Hit ends up being the leader of the team. And so far the team consists of Goku, Vegeta, Hit, Gohan, Piccolo, Kaba, Caulifla, Kale, Tenshinhan, and Krillin. But it's not that clear cut. There is an interesting development. This Piccolo here, he's not the same Piccolo. It's a little bit of an odd story. Originally, Hit was going to go to Namek to try and recruit some Namekians, seeing if he could find a powerful warrior from there. And although a little premature, all the Namekians decided to fuse together into Saunel and Pirina, who are both really strong on their own. This is kind of an issue. Hit already has a full team, and he found out about this after the fact. But he doesn't want these two to not fight. I mean, their whole planet sacrificed themselves and fused into them. But then, Hit gets an insane idea. He tells them he knows of one more Namekian, one who's actually on the team already. And he asks these two, would they be willing to fuse into him, creating the strongest Super Namekian? Needless to say, the two are intrigued. If they fuse into each other and then into another Namekian, the power that they have could be insane. As long as it means the universe has a better shot at surviving, they're up for it. Even if that means they have to become one fighter instead of two. Hit takes them to Earth, and they meet Piccolo. Pretty nonchalantly, Hit says he wants those two to fuse into Piccolo. This is a huge bombshell to drop on him. He knew there was a Namek in this universe, but now he guesses there isn't because all these people have fused into two Namekians. And Hit wants all of them to fuse into Piccolo. But Piccolo thinks about it and realizes that it's actually a great idea. He even considers getting Kami to fuse into him, but then eventually goes against it because he realizes if Universe 6 ends up winning, they could use the Dragon Balls on Earth to restore all the Namekians back to where they were before, instead of all being stuck with Piccolo. Turns out it was a bad idea for Piccolo to mention this, because Hit tells him now that he wants Kami to fuse into him too. Oh crap, Piccolo spoke too much. But it shouldn't be too bad. I mean, even though Piccolo will be the last remaining Namekian in this universe, all he'll have to do is go to Namek and throw up a few eggs. And they could bring Namek back to life. Hit does have a pretty imposing presence after all, and under this threat of Hit, Piccolo eventually goes ahead with it. First, Kami is fused into him, and that alone makes him insanely powerful. It's a pretty bittersweet moment too. Right now he has Nail and Kami in him, but next, Sanel and Piranha fuse into him. Before Piccolo can even get used to having Kami there, he now essentially has an entire race of Namekians. Hit watches in shock. He knew Namekian fusion was potent, but not this potent. And although he's surprised, he's happy and confident. This new Piccolo will be a valuable addition to the team. With so many Namekians fused into him, his power rivals Hit's. Yeah, that strong. I mean, the two Namekians before were powerful on their own, but imagine how strong they'd be if they fused together, then into Piccolo. This will really help out the team. But there's one more team that I do want to cover. Universe 7. Beerus had to put together a pretty ragtag team, but he ended up doing it. I know a lot of you wanted some GT in this what if, and this is the perfect opportunity right here. So first off, on Beerus' team, he decides to recruit some of Frieza's army. There are some really strong people there after all. He does have to threaten some of them though. But thankfully, he doesn't really have to do that with King Cold. He just mentions that he knows the two people that killed Frieza. And this is a good opportunity for King Cold to fight them. Like I said, King Cold doesn't care about Frieza much, but would like to kill these two anyways, especially because they're Saiyans. So thankfully, this means he gets King Cold on the team, as well as Tagoma and Shisami. He even looks around at the Galactic Patrol. Jocko gets recruited on the team, and he asks Jocko, are there any strong prisoners they can use? Well, there's a few, but they may be a little bit unhinged. So no, Moro and 7-3 aren't going to be on the team. But they're able to get Saganbo, who's not nearly on the level of Moro or 7-3, but still a decent addition. And similar to Universe 6, a bunch of Universe 7 Namekians fuse into one warrior, who we'll refer to as the Namekian Savior, kind of like the one we saw in the Moro arc. From Yardrat, Beerus also recruits the Elder there. And if we're being honest, I don't want to butcher pronouncing his name. Pabara, or whatever. This guy on the screen right now. But that means they have 7 people on the team. And this is where some GT characters will come into play. Beerus has to get creative with who he recruits, so why don't we get creative? And bring in some characters that don't really exist here. Beerus is able to recruit General Rildo, Lude, and alongside these two, he finds one of the most promising warriors of all in space. Although the Tuffles went extinct long ago, they left one thing behind. A powerful advancement in technology, a creation that may help them in the Tournament of Power, referred to as Baby. And this is where we'll leave off for now. So what do you guys think will happen in the Tournament of Power? How do you think Universe 7's team will do? And how do you think Universe 6's team will do? Leave your thoughts and suggestions in the comments below, and I'll be sure to check them out to see what you guys think. As always, if you liked the video, be sure to drop a like, and let's try to hit that goal from the beginning of the video for a new part. If you haven't already, why not subscribe, as well as hitting the bell icon to get notified about any future parts of this what if, or any other videos that I upload on my channel. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.